Today, 16th January 2025, there are a lot of interesting updates from the Kursk direction in Russia. A FPV drones and HIMARS strike on a Russian naval brigade HQ creates a command vacuum, enabling Ukrainian advances near Sudzha. Here, a Ukrainian precision strike on a critical Russian command post unleashed chaos within the enemy ranks, leaving Russian forces leaderless and disoriented. Amid the turmoil, with no command and coordination structure, North Koreans attacked Russian forces, causing them to retreat from their positions and opening the gates for the Ukrainian tank assaults. The goal of the Ukrainian precision strikes is the elimination of Russian commanders and force concentrations. As the Russians attempt to undermine the Ukrainian offensive northeast of Sudzha by assaulting it in the flanks, taking out the Russian command structure would completely collapse the Russian effort, causing chaos and disorganization to break out amongst the Russian ranks. However, to conduct the strikes, Ukrainians first had to collect intelligence about the location of Russian command posts and force accumulations. Over the months, Ukrainians extracted information from unsecured Russian radio communications by simply switching to their frequencies. All of this, combined with intel provided by Ukrainian military intelligence agents and informants within Russia, together with information from Russian prisoners of war, gave them a clear picture of the location of Russian command posts and force accumulations. Subsequently, the Ukrainian forces conducted a HIMARS strike that successfully struck a command post of the Russian 810th Naval Infantry Brigade in the town of Belaya, to the southeast of Sudzha. The exact death toll of Russian soldiers and officers is unknown as of yet, still, as all Russian assaults south of Sudzha were coordinated from this command post in Sudzha, Ukrainians will have effectively disrupted the Russian command structure with this strike. As the Russian command structure is incredibly centralized, junior officers have little to take the initiative into their own hands. This meant that a direct strike on a Russian command post forced the temporary halt of all combat operations and disruptions till new officers were able to take their place. While this allowed Ukrainian forces to retake the initiative and launch an attack to eliminate the Russian holdouts in the southern part of Makhnovka once and for all, Ukrainians initiated the assault with intense artillery fire and FPV drone strikes against Russian positions, forcing most Russian soldiers to run for shelter. Ukrainians also deployed sappers to the village, who removed barbed wire and anti-tank mines from streets in Makhnovka to clear the way for armored assault columns. The footage shows this allowed Ukrainian tanks to enter the narrow streets, being escorted by foot soldiers for cover, as it provided direct fire on Russian positions. The remaining Russian forces in basements that could not be eliminated directly were then subsequently finished off by FPV drone strikes. Losses of positions within Makhnovka and the loss of Russian momentum were not the only consequences of the Ukrainian precision strike on the Russian command post in Belaya. As you know, North Korean soldiers were previously integrated into Russian units in this area. However, the collapse of a cohesive command structure caused confusion between North Koreans and Russians, further exacerbated by their language barrier. A Russian soldier published a video where he explained how, in the confusion, North Korean soldiers opened fire on Russians in the friendly fire incident, believing them to be Ukrainians. To make it worse, the language barrier prevented the Russians and North Koreans from halting the incident, which forced them to engage in a brutal firefight with each other. In the end, the Russian soldier reported that he was pulling back and withdrawing with the main force after the incident, since it became impossible to conduct further combat operations under their current circumstances. Overall, the Ukrainians inflicted a heavy blow on the Russian command structure with a precise HIMARS strike on their command post in the deep rear, causing a complete collapse of Russian command and disorganization amongst their troops, which allowed the Ukrainians to retake the initiative and attack. By continuing precision strikes on command posts and force accumulations, the Ukrainians could effectively spread disorganization among Russian and North Korean forces to a point where Russian forces became unable to conduct proper combat operations. In one incident, a man could be heard yelling, "General Kim Jong-un," as he detonated a bomb on himself, according to reports. North Korean soldiers have been deploying brutal suicide tactics on the Ukrainian front line to lure in enemy soldiers as bait and avoid being captured by their enemy, reports claim. An 11,000-strong battalion of troops posted to the battlefield have reportedly been using the kamikaze-like tactics in recent weeks as Vladimir Putin's war efforts rage on. One horror video posted to Telegram by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces appears to show a North Korean fighter detonating a bomb as forces approached. He can be seen sending Volodymyr Zelensky's men in the wrong direction before releasing the grenade in a fatal blast. Over 300 North Korean troops have been killed in fighting so far, with more than 2,700 wounded, a report in Nikkei Asia citing South Korea's National Intelligence Service claims. An assessment by the South Korean spy agency has confirmed the grim suicide tactics being deployed by Pyongyang's men. In one incident, a man could be heard yelling, "General Kim Jong-un," as he detonated a bomb on himself. From a Telegram post from the Ukrainian government's official account referred to another such on Sunday night. Soldiers of the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine had repelled an assault by North Korean troops which lasted from morning until night in Kursk, the message explained. During this time, Rangers of the 6th SSO Regiment destroyed 17 North Korean soldiers, and one of them blew himself up with a grenade. The post continued. In the morning, an SSO clearing group moved forward, which came across one surviving North Korean soldier. He set an unsuccessful trap for the Rangers of the 6th Regiment. It comes as Ukraine's military released a handwritten note suggesting Russia is using personnel supplied by Pyongyang as bait as part of a strategy to destroy drones. Separately, the diary of a dead North Korean soldier, published by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, expressed love for Kim Jong-un and a longing to return to his homeland, as well as revealing details of one particularly shocking tactic.